Welcome to The Big Break Show, a podcast where we discuss short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, life, mindset, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Rafa Loza and Jesse Vasquez.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Big Break Show. I am here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon with my co-host, Mr. Jesse Vasquez.
What's up, dude? And everybody, Rafa didn't know what day it was today because he's an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs don't realize that Tuesdays are Saturdays and Thursdays and Sundays and all other fun stuff. You know why? This guy's probably relaxing and not having to work and just chilling out, and he forgets what day is what. So, right, Rafa?
Yeah, dude, it's funny. So this is our second recording because I thought it was morning time or something. Yeah, you know, it's funny. Mondays are usually Sundays, and Sundays are usually Tuesdays, and Saturdays are usually Wednesdays. Like, I'm actually going to go later today to the gun club to shoot some rounds and smoke a cigar and have an old fashioned. And it's a Tuesday afternoon, you know?
I'm jealous, bro. It sounds like a glorious, glorious afternoon. You know what else is glorious? Mr. Alvin Hope Johnson, because he was on our episode today. Episode 36, by the way. Can you freaking believe that? I know I say this probably after every episode, but this is probably one of my favorites because Alvin has lived many lives in one life and has transformed his life into a way that not only for himself, building a business and multiple different businesses for himself, but he's also thinks about other people. You know, we talk about, you know, he's helping the people that were incarcerated, that have felonies, get into the workforce again through a nonprofit. And just, man, Rafa, this guy's got so much cool stuff going around. And I mean, he's a giver.
Yeah, I was really blown away by this entire episode. It was really good. I mean, I've talked to him prior, and I know he talks like in really deep conversations and like really depth, and there's always a purpose behind everything he says, but I was really blown away by this episode. Like, it's just, you know, living the life with purpose, right? On purpose, with purpose, through purpose. I was just like, man, I'm so happy you came on this episode. I know for a fact that every single listener on this episode is really going to get something out of this one because it was that darn good. So hopefully y'all enjoy it. And at the end, he's actually given a special discount to our listeners for one of his bootcamp courses for development and real estate investing. So if you're on the fence about getting started in any realm of investing, this could be a good opportunity for you to get a good discount off of a really, really good, reputable course from someone who's actually doing $500 million in real estate as we speak. So, you know, it's you're going to learn off of someone who knows what they're doing. So give it a shot. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show.
We got Mr. Alvin Hope Johnson on the show with us today, man. Thank you for being here, Alvin. Actually, real quick before I dive in and let you talk about yourself. So I actually connected with Alvin and Rafa. You and I both did back in 2020 when COVID was rocking at its full force and nobody was, you know, going anywhere. And there comes Alvin out of the smoke of Clubhouse and just reveals himself to the world through Clubhouse. And man, I really kind of attached to you, and a lot of other people did too, because your story is very transparent. You are, you know, you're really humble in what you do, and I think that you have a lot of opportunity. Obviously, you were able to go through a lot of stuff in life and kind of turn stuff around, which is really something I admire about you. And it's something that happens, Alvin, with a lot of people in their lives, man. And you kind of are through the other side and talk about that. So let us know who you are, man, what you got going on, and give the audience a quick rundown if they don't know you.
Well, Jesse and Rafa, thank you, man. Yeah, my name's Alvin Hope Johnson, and you know, I call myself a developer. But you know, that takes on so many meanings because everything is developing, right? I mean, I'm developing, I'm becoming. The people around me are developing. So I think that's a really, really good term. But yeah, I'm in Dallas, Texas, or in McKinney, Texas, right outside of Dallas, man. And I'm the president of Hope Housing Foundation. That's our 501c3 nonprofit. And that nonprofit is an entity that provides safe, decent, sanitary housing to the economically challenged and workforce communities across America. So what does that mean? That means that we have a nonprofit that is set up to provide housing to everybody that works.
I love that.
Simple. And we have used that vehicle to provide affordable housing opportunities to up to 3,500 families. Today, we have about 1,154 units. I think that's the exact number. All of those units are going through major renovations. So I think we've got, man, about 25 million going on between 7 properties in rehab. All properties that we bought years ago. We have, you know, the old Burr strategy, buy, rent, rehab, all that junk. Well, we've done that a couple of times on all these properties. And then we added one more R to it, and that's reposition. So they talk about buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, and then reposition. And what does that mean? So after you refinance it once, then a couple of years later, you can go sell it to yourself and pull out all the cash that you attributed, that you've built up in it. So that's what we've done with those assets. And now I'm really excited about the future, man. We're going to build 20,000 units of high performance buildings in 5 years. We got our first project in Princeton, Texas already started. That deal is we're doing 200 of 400 units there. So it's a total, I think that total development construction cost, if we were to build all 400 units today, would be about 78 to 80 million. Our first phase is 37, 38 million. Appraised value of the first phase is over 60 million.
Wow.
So you see why I wanted to go into development. Spend 38 million. 2 years later, you got a $60 million value on a real asset. With no maintenance, no Band-Aids, no lipstick, no pigs, none of that stuff. So that's 3 years ago, we got to a place where we couldn't buy any more assets that made sense to me, because we had a specific pool of investors that had gotten spoiled with our performance on the first 8 or 9 deals. And the market was changing. We couldn't buy deals at a 10 cap, couldn't buy deals at an 8 cap. Now you can't buy deals at a 5 cap. And I said, well, I know how we can get a 10 plus cap and we can go into development. And so that's how that whole thought process started about 3 years ago. And what I really believe, in 5 years from now, I'll look like one of the smartest guys on the planet because we dug down into this development today.
Right.
They say 1.5 million people going to move to DFW area in the next 3 years. That's ridiculous. Where are those people going to live? How are we going to even drive around this place? But so, man, we just on the front end of some cutting edge technology with PropTech. We're using structurally insulated panels that allow our utility bills in these apartments to not exceed $45 per month in any climate. I don't care. It's like a refrigerator. Refrigerator doesn't know if it's in Alaska or if it's in freaking Africa. It just keeps everything cold on the inside, right? So that's the same way our apartments are with these structurally insulated panels. It doesn't matter if it's in Florida or if it's in Arizona or if it's in Minnesota where it's 40 below for 6 months out of the year. These things are encapsulated so well to where our utility bills will never, in Texas, exceed, I think the number I looked at today was $686 per year for utilities in one of our apartments.
Damn.
So that equates to $50-$60 a month.
Yeah.
So what we do as a developer, we are able to pass on a substantial savings to our resident by saying, hey, you pay us one check for rent that includes your light bill, your water bill, and your cable or internet, whatever you call it. And we'll provide all of those services. And on the upside of that for us, we get to monetize the difference. So we charge $120 for electric. Well, they can use all the electric they want. That's okay. We got it. And but there's a delta there that we actually get to make that adds to our bottom line. So an investor, as a real estate investor, when you're looking at an NOI, and you can take and add an extra $100 a month to any property, that's $1,200 a year. You can put any cap rate you want on that, and it's an upside.
That is awesome.
So that's what we're doing with these high performance buildings.
Yeah, you know what? Let me dive into that real quick, because they're basically like Yeti or Hydro Flask, like the inside, right? That's kind of what they are.
It's like a refrigerator. I say Yeti cooler all the time because everybody knows that.
Right.
But if you think about a refrigerator, man, you can put it outside in 150 degrees and get cold water out because it's controlled on the inside, not from the outside.
Right. So those building materials now, for everybody listening, I mean, during COVID, the cost of any type of wood or anything like that went up. Sheetrock even went up like crazy. So are you not using that? That's, I mean, obviously on the frame and stuff. So what are you guys doing on that end then? What's the difference?
So these structurally insulated panels make up the frame. So when you look at any typical building being built, once it's all the studs are up and they put, well, here in Texas, they probably gonna put cardboard on the outside of your freaking 2x4s because that's the insulation or that's the vapor barrier that they use. Literally, a quarter-inch sheet of wafer board is the only thing between the outside and the insulation of your apartment. So that's your frame. With ours, what you have is you're looking at OSB on the outside. You do not see the polystyrene on the inside. And then from the inside, you see another piece of 7/16 OSB. So you've got a panel that's encapsulated in OSB that's been treated for wood destroying insects, termites, anything termites, treated for mold, treated for fungus. So you've got a frame that even if you have a pipe burst inside of your house or your unit, when it dries out, this stuff's not going to grow mold. And so you've got this really tight encapsulated unit that no air goes from your unit to your neighbor's unit. So if your neighbor's dying from COVID, I hate to say it, but it happens, you will not get that air from them coming into your apartment. That's how dope this stuff is.
Dude, Alvin, what is this like new future technology, right? Let me ask you a quick question about this. What's the cost difference between regular structural frame and this frame, and why aren't more people doing this?
Well, very good question. The cost difference. So what I did is I hired a general contractor to build our apartments. I am a builder, but to build a $50 million deal, I have to have a track record. And I didn't have that.
Okay.
So I hired a GC that does. They do about $300 million a year. And they were pricing our Princeton deal, 200 units, against another 200 unit deal somewhere that they were doing for another client. And our cost was 78 cents per square foot more. That's it. So when you're looking at 78 cents a foot, we got 225,000 square feet. Just say it's going to cost me $250,000 more to make this building insulated that way, that will last longer, that will be up to 200 mile an hour wind ratings, the way it's glued and screwed together. And just think about what I said. We got 200 units. We got $100 a month coming as a delta on the light bill, right? That's 20 grand a month. 20 grand a month, that's $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
The first year I've paid the difference for what it costs to build this.
Not to mention the upcoming revenue for the following year and the year after that. Yeah.
For forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why aren't most people doing this? Most structurally insulated panel plants are set up for one-off construction, meaning that they cater to single-family home builders. This technology has been around about 35 years. In April of 2020, just 2 years ago, HUD just approved this for agency financing. So meaning before April of 2020, you couldn't use this, you couldn't get a HUD loan for long-term financing with any agency. So that was probably a deterrent from anybody building this commercially. Now that HUD has made that approval, you've got a few developers going to this, but keep in mind, I said that most of the plants are set up to do single-family homes. It would take a plant a year to make enough panels to put together our development in Princeton, Texas. The average plant in America right now, it'd take them a year to build it. They work one shift, and they just are not set up for this kind of volume. So our next target, the thing that we're doing, that we're starting right now, is putting together our own structural insulated panel plant. We're going to do one in Texas, and we're going to do one in Troy, Ohio.
So smart.
Yeah, I mean, that way our panel plants, we're going to have our own truss plant as well. So we'll be able to close up our own boxes with our own product. So one guy asked me, Alvin, how are you going to get the labor for this? It's a really good question. I said, one of our goals with the labor is to go to the Texas penal system and get parolees that have been recently paroled that can't find jobs, man, and train them in this technology of building with SIP panels.
I love
Not
that.
only can we train them to do it for us, we can turn them into subcontractors to where they can take on jobs for us, because you got some super smart people, right? And then secondly, we've got a HVAC master technician, electrician, and master plumber. So along with setting up training for the panel construction, we're going to set up a trade school so that these men and women can go through and learn how to be electricians, plumbers, and HVAC mechanical technicians. They can be licensed and get training for that. We're doing it so that they can come work with us and build our 20,000 units. But hey, man, it's a skill that nobody can take from these individuals. So not only are we doing good, but we're going to do damn good while doing good. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, dude, it sounds amazing what you're doing. I mean, it's like you're changing the space, right? What's the time frame? I know, first of all, it takes a while to get the planning approved. Is this like you taking advantage of that time to be able to get all these people trained, get these panel factories set up, et cetera, et cetera? Like, what's the time frame for you to go from start to finish?
Good question, Rafa. So our first deal we put under contract in April of last year, April of 2021. We closed it in November of 2021, and it has taken me to May, so 12 months, to take a property that was shovel ready, to get it, to change my plans over to the structurally insulated panel plans, and to find a contractor that could build it for me. Now that all of that's locked in, we've got our processes down to where we can do all of that in about 120 days. It's just dependent upon the cities and municipalities that we're working in for zoning and stuff like that. But construction time for these deals, 200 units, we got 18 months. So we started technically in April with just the horizontal stuff, but now we're at a standstill because we are redesigning our detention ponds to save about $500,000 on that. The guy we bought it from had designed those detention ponds with rock in the bottom. And that sounds like a really, really dope thing to do. But it's in the bottom of a freaking detention pond that's 10 feet down and probably going to have water in it and grow mold on it. So why would you do that? So my new civil engineer said, hey, Alvin, you can redesign that so a lawnmower can get down in there and you can cut the grass and just let the grass grow, and you don't have to worry about spending $500,000 on rock. So we stopped the processes for 3 weeks to get that redesigned and save $500,000. So we technically won't start back until August, but we should have people moving in there December of next year. So complete 18 months. The timeline for our plant, we're in the design phases right now of having the plant drawn out. I believe that'll be done within 30 days. We should have construction docs on that. So I would really like to think that we could be breaking ground on a plant somewhere about October of this year. And then we'll have that thing up and running in 8 months. So
Yeah, that's crazy, Alvin, that not only are you this technology's been around, you're bringing it back up, but the second thing that I really love about what you're doing is that when you start serving other people, which, I mean, a lot of people look at criminals and they're just like, I don't want to deal with those guys. I don't want to do that. And the fire departments have been doing this forever. I worked for CAL FIRE for a long time, and we worked with, we worked with inmates. That was part of it. And a lot of these guys, they just want to work. Like they get in there, they do dumb stuff, and they end up, obviously trying to get out of that. And once you get into that rat race, you're kind of stuck with that felony or whatever it is. So I think it's so insightful that you're kind of bringing people into that. And where did that come from? Like, where did that thought process come from?
that's a good question, man. I remember when I was 14 years old, I got in trouble with the police. And they told me at that time I was hanging with the wrong group of people, man, really bad. And they told me I could have went to prison for a long time just from wrong association. Well, I wound up, because of that, I did some probation time, as a 15-year-old. And at that time, man, I never wanted to be in anybody's system from ever, because that stuff follows you, right? Well, fortunately, I got probation where it didn't follow me, but I thought about all the people that it did follow that will never, ever, never have an opportunity to do anything because of one dumbass mistake. And then I thought about, well, how are we going to build this stuff? And everybody says that there's no labor and nobody wants to work. Well, I'll tell you, a couple of our best employees have been associates that we have hired that have come out of the halfway house that have had nonviolent backgrounds. And we put them to work in our apartment communities. They've been the best maintenance guys ever. They've been the smartest people ever. And they're just appreciative of the opportunity, right? So I said, man, if we can 10X that and we got to build 20,000 units, man. We need a lot of people to work. And these millennials don't want to work. They want everything on an app. So I think we can repurpose a population of people that would not have an opportunity to do this and become business owners at that. I don't want these people to work for me. I don't want all them employees. I want subcontractors that can go out and manage themselves accordingly and bring it about and bring us a product back. And of course, we got all the people to supervise. We got all the training. These guys that are master trained technicians, they're union certified in multiple states, so they can provide the training, the oversight. The thing that we are lacking to make this happen, and it's coming every day. But the reason I'm jumping on all of you guys' podcasts and to tell this story, man, it's not about me. I need cash. I need $500 million, $15 million at a time. That's it. We're going to do 200 unit apartment communities. We're going to do about 100 of them in 5 years. And each one of these deals needs about $15 million in equity. And the money comes back every 2 years. So I need an institutional partner. I need a guy with a bunch of money, a lady with a bunch of money. I'm not soliciting money on this podcast. I'm not. So don't get that twisted.
Right.
But I am telling you that if you're interested in doing good while doing good, investing in real estate, man, hit me up. We've got some great opportunities for that. And you heard why it's not about me. We're going to put a lot of people to work. We're going to put a lot of people in housing. It's going to be the best housing on the planet for sure. And 50 years from now, this stuff will still be here. I'll be gone, but this stuff will still be here. The investments that people make into this today will still be here. And so I'm really passionate about this, man. And I love the opportunity that you guys are giving me today.
Dude, I'm so excited that you came on to talk about this. Like, this is a really good topic to get into, because, you know, we're attaching the real estate side of things, the business side of things, but nobody ever really thinks about the lives that you're changing behind it all. And you have an actual intention behind the project. It's not, hey, I just want to build a bunch of properties, make a bunch of money, and be a big time developer. Nah, I'm trying to actually change lives. What really caught my attention was when you're like, it's not that I want to hire these guys because we need the work. I want to be able to change these guys' lives by giving them the tools that once this project is done, they can continue on their life for the rest of their life. That's like,
Yeah, that's it.
yo, like chills coming down my body. Like, it's awesome that you're providing this for people who nobody else would give them the chance. So they wouldn't even give them a second thought, right? It'd be like, nah, man, you know, we can't have you here because of your history, your past, your record, whatever the case may be. So I'm glad you're talking about it here, and thank you for coming on and talking about it with us, right? I want to touch a little bit on aside from the whole building part of it, because the insulated thing, something that actually caught my attention is, how does that work with like plumbing and electrical? Doesn't that have to go through walls and stuff like that, or is that pre-made? Like, how does
That's
that work?
a really good question. So the electrical channels are burned in the insulation. So I think it's 18 inches off the floor, at 48 inches. And then if we want to go for TV height, I think it's 60 some odd inches. They burn 3 channels. So the electricians are not having to cut studs. And that, you know, you think that stud that is holding your house up, a dude just drilled a freaking hole in it. You think that did not mess with the structural integrity of that stud? Well, anyway, all the channels are already burned in the insulation for the electrical. And for the plumbing, we don't put any plumbing in exterior walls. Here in Texas, we're accustomed to having our kitchen sink where we can look out the window. You know, we got a bathroom window in the bathroom, you know, so we can look, you know, over the tub, right? Looking out the window. Well, in these panels, we don't put any water in the exterior walls. Everything is interior, so it's encapsulated so it doesn't freeze. Those are building practices that they use up north in Minnesota, where my friends are from, that invented these panels. Well, my friends didn't invent the panels, but the panels were invented up north, somewhere around Minnesota, about 35 years ago. So all of my friends that have this history with this technology live up that way. And so that's how I got involved with this. But yeah, so they build with no water in exterior walls, so you never have freezing pipes. You never have any of that stuff burst in your units. And then the electrical chasers are already burned in it. So you've got better structural integrity from your building, because you don't have somebody chopping holes in every one of your walls that are being held up. And yeah, it's pretty dope. Real dope.
Yeah, Alvin, you know what, man? Like all these environmental changes, like people talk about, like, you know, global warming and all that stuff. I actually truly believe that that's actually really happening right now. Just look at the last 2 years in Texas, like all the crazy shit that's been going on in Texas. I mean, power went out, right? That's why Elon Musk was like, "Hey, we're gonna give power to the whole city, and we're gonna do these." If people would just start kind of reinventing the wheel, or not reinventing the wheel, because this stuff's been around, but actually putting
That's right.
together
Just
things
start
like
using
this.
it.
Exactly. So is that kind of your concept when all this? Actually, you did it. You even started thinking about it before. Are you guys going to use like solar panels and stuff, or is it just going to be, you're still going to be off the grid?
Well, we will have solar panels on all of the covered parking to provide lights for that. If we wanted to do solar panels, it's not really cost effective in Texas. So, and you say, well, why are people in Texas buying panels? Well, because they have light bills that are out of the roof, right? They're not as insulated as we are. So we're using a fraction of the electricity that anybody else would be using. So in order to pay for enough solar to pull it off the grid, it's not really worth it. The delta's not there to justify that expense. But we will put solar on the exterior covered parking things, just to keep that lit at no expense to the property and things like that. We're also using some things, you know, I love this prop tech. So typically in an apartment complex, every unit has a hot water heater. we're using centralized boilers in every building so that we've got one heating system. We're not having to replace 200, 400 hot water heaters in 5 to 8 years. We've got one boiler with 2 heating tanks, and those heating tanks are kept warm by one solar panel on the roof that keeps that water hot all day, all night. And so it's instant on demand, as close as we can get to that, with no expense on heating the water or keeping it hot. You know, that boiler will fire it up and get it hot, and then the tanks will hold it. The electricity generated from the solar panels will keep it warm. And but we were looking at, in 10 years, 15 years, what are the things that typically break? Well, everybody goes in, they got to replace hot water heaters. Everybody replaces this, just do away with that junk today. It's easier for us on the front end. It doesn't cost near as much. And then in an apartment complex, you know, when pipes break, hot water heaters burst, all that stuff happens, the first thing a maintenance guy's got to do, run to the apartment. He's got to figure out where the water's leaking from. Then he's got to run outside and try to cut the water off and find out. No, we got a panel in every building that I can cut the water off to unit 101, unit 102. So we're minimizing all of these things, man, that just cause long-term problems over years of apartment ownership. So we're doing it on the front end.
So it's essentially like a tankless water heater, but for 200 units.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, it may take a little time for the water to get from there to the farthest unit away, but at least it's hot and it didn't cost us anything to heat it. And what the next thing that we're going to do, and I'm working on this right now, I don't know if we're going to get it in the first development, but there's a solenoid that we can put on all the hot water fixtures that the water will not come out until the water reaches a certain temperature. So think about all the water you waste getting in the shower, waiting on the water to get hot. Think about all the water you waste in the kitchen sink or brushing your teeth or whatever you're doing, waiting on it to get hot. They have that technology that's there. It just hadn't been widely used commercially, so it's rather expensive. But if we can get that down to a science, and we're working on it, to where we can install that in these apartments, then our water bill will be cut by 30%.
Dude, that's awesome.
Rafa doesn't take warm showers. He only takes ice baths. That's what he does.
Oh, I ain't mad at him for that. He a bad dude.
Every morning, man. Jesse gets mad because I do so. It's like every morning I just take a nice cold shower. So you don't have to install one of those in my place. I like the cold water.
Okay.
You know why I make fun of him, Alvin, about this? Dude, he's in Orange County. I mean, how cold is that water going to be? Like 62 degrees? I mean, come on, man. That's as cold as it can
Right.
get.
You're right.
Yeah.
Come on, Rafa.
He's
Put some
right,
ice in there, bro. So, Alvin, dude, that's freaking amazing, man. I actually have another question right now. Rafa, I'm sorry to cut you, and I wanted to put you on blast there with the cold showers. How did you get this entrepreneurial mindset, dude? Like you're making your own, you're making all these like, you know, big plans. It's not just small dreams. You're like, this is one of your captions too, living the life of a dreamer. Like, how did this come about, man? Like with all these things, like where did this come from?
Well, first I got to say this, giving honor to God, because that's where it all came from. But I'll tell you, it came from a need to eat. Just simple. I didn't go to college. I didn't have no backup plan. I ain't had no mom and daddy with no silver spoons, none of that. I told you I got in trouble as a teenager. I got married at 17, 18 years old. Son was born when I was 21. 24, I tried to kill myself because we went from millionaire to being broke. And then literally just trying to figure it out, how I can keep going. And, you know, in 2008, I went and volunteered for this guy that had all these apartments, 16,000 units. My volunteerism lasted 90 days, and then he started paying me a little money just to keep me around. It covered my bills. So that was cool. And then at 13 months to the day after I was there, he died in a car wreck. And I became the president of this $1.5 billion, $2 billion company by serving this guy, right? So this entrepreneurial mindset, when I went to him, I went there. You heard it here first. I went there because I said, this guy's got a company that I don't have to worry about working or feeding myself anymore. All I have to do is show up and be good for him, and I'm good, right? So that was my real plan for going there. I'm tired, man. This entrepreneurial stuff is no joke. Well, then he died. And then I went, well, shit, that does that. Now what?
Right.
And his family gave me, or said, hey, we know a lot of members of the board of this other organization. All of those members want off of the board. President don't want to run it anymore. I think that they would reconstitute the board, hire you, and then you can take this organization and go be great. Well, that company then was Mid-Continent Community Development Corp, which today is Hope Housing Foundation. And so they gave me this company, or gave it to the board. Nobody owns a nonprofit. The nonprofit hired me, and here we are, I guess, 11 years later, from me taking over after being fired after that bankruptcy plan at the other organization worked, and I'm doing this. So the entrepreneurial mindset came just from a need to eat. Now, let me tell you the development part, and I'll talk about this Clubhouse real quick. So we got on Clubhouse in December 2020. In January of 2021, I wanted to meet some of our friends, and about 20 of us said, hey, let's just meet up. And then that meetup turned into what became Clubhouse Live as a big live event in January or in March or sometime in Arlington. Then we did the second one in Atlanta in August of last year. We were going to do the third one in January in Miami, and something happened. COVID broke out again, and we couldn't make it happen. And so since January, I have been struggling with doing this event again. And I'll tell you, everybody's starting up live events again, and everybody, there's live events going on all across the country. And how do you become individualized in a noisy room of people doing the same thing? So you asked me for that one tip, and I know we're not at the end of the show, and I'll probably bring it up. It may be another one by then. But one tip of becoming recognized in a noisy room of people doing the same thing is become different. You got to differentiate yourself. So how did I differentiate myself in the multifamily space? Because everybody and their mama are buying apartments. Hell, I know a 16-year-old buying an apartment complex. You know what I mean? So how do you become different? Well, let's go develop. Let's build. Let's use all of my years of experience. That lane, the grass is still high because it ain't that many people walking over there. But I can tell you, I'll be over there by myself and the lanes won't be near as crowded. Same thing with Clubhouse Live. Why is it taking me 9 months from January to put this event on in September coming? We need it to be different. I didn't want to have just another event where people are talking about short-term rentals and people are talking about wholesaling and talking about credit, because everybody's doing that. So we're putting on the largest development summit in the country in September. We've got Panasonic, we've got GAF, we've got Detson. All of our suppliers that are helping to supply supplies for these apartments are sponsoring this event. Why is that important? Even if you're not building a new apartment complex, you're probably buying a piece of junk that you need to replace appliances in, you need to replace AC units in. And so all these guys provide all these products, and they provide them more efficiently and effectively and cost effective than some of the biggest players on the planet. So they're sponsoring this event. So who is the event going to be good for? It's good for anybody in real estate that's buying anything to reposition it, or anybody developing. And so I just had to become a differentiator. So I had to become different, and because it's noisy out here, y'all, man, I'm telling you, it's noisy. And so your audience, you got an audience of wholesalers and guys flipping houses and women flipping houses and doing short-term rentals and et cetera. How do you become different in a noisy ass room with people doing the same thing?
I love that. It's funny that you brought that up, because I was supposed to go to the January event, and I remember it didn't happen. And I was wondering if they had just stopped completely. So I'll probably go to your September one for sure.
You need to. Yeah, it's gonna be really dope, and it's cheap. I mean, the prices. I think we got the prices about $500.
Oh, nice.
And when I tell you what you're gonna come away with, it's gonna be amazing. It's all of this prop tech stuff we're talking about. So I have a developer apprenticeship course, a 12-month course that we teach you how to buy land all the way to building your own apartment complex, all the way through certificates of occupancy. We're basically going to teach that course in segments at the event over 2 days. So my attorney teaches a piece about structuring the deals. My tax guy teaches a piece on why we structure them this way. My broker is doing a piece on, picking the land. My guy that does my entitlements are talking about entitlements. So we're walking this whole process through at this event with these sponsors in the building that'll show you how, when you're buying properties or building properties, that you can use their products and supplies to make your rehabs go easier, to make your rehabs more cost effective. But most importantly, a lot of people are buying real estate and buying it to flip it or whatever, and that's great. I'm not talking to them. But the people that are really buying real estate to build wealth, that want to hold these properties for a time, you know, you don't want to keep replacing AC units every 3 to 5 years because of maintenance issues or hot water heaters. That's who this event's for, because these guys are going to really open our eyes to some new technology around all this stuff that we use every day. Super excited about it.
Well, I'll see you there, my friend, for sure. I'm going to that 100%.
Awesome.
Alvin, let me ask you a quick question, because we're talking about all the upsides and all the like great stuff on it. What's the downside with these panels? Is there any downside to them at all? Like, is there any like something that might go wrong?
I have not seen that, but I have heard about it. All panels are not created equal, okay? So one of the most important processes in this panel, making the panel, is the laminating of the OSB to the polystyrene. If you do not seal that properly, if it's not glued properly, if it doesn't have enough pounds per square inch to make sure that glue adheres properly, you could potentially grow mold or something behind the plywood, between the plywood and the insulation, which would be a nightmare. So, you know, you've got a lot of mechanic shops around the country that fix cars, right? You got guys that have been making these panels in their backyard and built their own houses forever, because it's really that simple, because you can go buy the foam, you can buy the plywood, and hell, you can figure it out. It's really that simple. But if you don't compress that OSB with enough pounds per square inch and glue it properly, that's the biggest problem I've heard of. So people are going to go out and find insulated panel companies before ours is built. Just make sure you find the right one, or call me and I'll give you a couple of referrals for that, because that's the biggest problem. I'll tell you, one of the things I love about these panels, you know, typically you're building a house, man, the plans change. You got to have, you know, change orders and et cetera, tearing stuff apart. With these panels, everything's measured 3 or 4 times and only cut once. You can almost build one of these complexes, an apartment complex, without a saw on site.
Wow. Dude, that's crazy.
So it's funny because I know you said you used to use them for small, right, single family homes, the panels.
They still do, widely used.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of curious because I'm about to build an ADU in the back of my parents' house. Now I'm gonna look into maybe building it with those panels back there.
There's a company out in California that builds these panels that I can give you the name to. So just when we're done recording, I'll give you that. I don't want anybody to bombard them. But they make some pretty decent panels out there. They're a sister company of the company that I use. And actually, about 3 months ago, somebody had ordered an ADU and they were trying to sell it because the guy never picked it up. It was about $140,000. I think it was 400 and some odd square feet made out of panels. You know, they put it on the back of a truck, drop it up, lift it over your house, and set it down on your slab for you.
It's nice. Yeah, those new like prefab homes like that, man, that's like the new thing. Like Boxable, these huge giant companies that are coming out. I mean, they just raised like freaking $1 billion. I don't remember how much it was, but it was like $500 million. So they just raised that. So I think that this technology you're getting into it's smart, man. I think that you're, you know, the entrepreneurial side that you have that obviously came from eating. And I want to actually jump into that real quick. I want to talk about this for a second. Do you feel like it's some kind of divine intervention that you had that, you know, we talked about this, you like contemplated suicide for a moment. Then all of a sudden,
I tried.
You tried. You were in the hospital.
For real.
You were in the hospital and you woke up 10 days later, right?
Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what the time frame is. You meet this gentleman where you're just like, I just need to eat. I need to figure stuff out. And you meet this guy and then he dies in this car accident, you know, X amount of time later, a year and a half later, whatever time frame. And then now you went from trying to kill yourself to literally running a multi-million-dollar company. Like, do you find that, like, I'm getting goosebumps now talking about this, because it's God or the universe, whatever you believe in, like there's a weird way that things kind of go full circle. So now do you take that in for a second and just, here you are now? You know what I mean?
Man, I am grateful every day. When I put that 38 to my head and pulled the trigger twice and the gun didn't go off, and I threw the gun down and it shot a hole in the house.
Wow.
Oh, glad that didn't happen.
Wow.
But then I took a bottle of nitroglycerin pills.
Mm-hmm.
Nitroglycerin pills, those pills are about the size of a pinhead, a ballpoint pen. And heart patients that need open heart surgery or to make their heart pump, they put one of those pills under their tongue and it literally explodes in their mouth and makes their heart beat. I took about 400 of those pills, the whole bottle. And when I laid down, I said, God, man, if you got plans for me, please forgive me. And if you don't, really forgive me. So I know that this is purpose. So now I believe I'm in purpose, on purpose. It's taken 33 years to be an overnight success, and I'm not there yet. But and so let me say this for somebody that may be listening. I just said I needed $500 million. I don't want anybody to think that I'm in that mindset again, because I'm never there again. I'll never go there again. I saw my friend that I volunteered for, he committed suicide. The guy that died in a car wreck? He did it on purpose. I saw all the signs of somebody that was going to commit suicide, and I didn't say anything. So you talk about divine intervention. I wondered if God sent me there to save his life, and I failed miserably, or maybe he sent me there to be able to do this. So I've just chosen to believe, because I beat myself up for about the first 6 months after he died, that I failed on my assignment again. And so I put a twist on it and said, okay, God, since I didn't get that, then I get to do this. And I believe that this is the purpose and not that. So it's just mindset, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, I love that. Like I said, your story just like really hits home, because a lot of people, I mean, we've talked about this in the show, like, being in that darkness, and we just had a guy on that kind of went through a similar situation, and hitting that bottom. And then, you're looking back 33 years later, it's like, you probably kick yourself like, what the hell was I thinking? But that's what woke you up. That's where your purpose was found, in that darkness. And, some people
That's where it was found, but it wasn't developed there.
Got it.
It's taken 33 years to develop it. I just told you, just 2 days ago, I woke up and went, Clubhouse Live, this is how we're going to do it. Just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So this stuff is still going on, differentiating ourselves and trying to be different and growing and being the business person that somebody else feels as though they can depend on, believe in, and support, right? I mean, we're all in business. So either we're in business selling hamburgers, we have to convince our customers that our burger is the best, that it's going to be less fattening, and it is going to be best for you. And so that's all we're doing. So I'm appealing to the masses of people that got more money than they know what to do with to come help me do some damn good.
Yeah.
That's what my TED Talk was about. The time is now.
Yep. Yeah.
Time is now, man.
And that was a damn good TED Talk. For those of you who haven't watched it, go to YouTube and just type in Alvin Hope Johnson TED Talk, and boom, there it is. It's about 7 minutes long, so it's not too long. And he really breaks things down. In Alvin, you're a great storyteller. I was telling Rafa that beforehand, and that TED Talk really just kind of breaks that down for everybody to kind of hear.
Thanks. I'll tell you, that's been another differentiator. You have to know how to articulate your story, and if you can't tell your own story, then go learn how, because nobody else is gonna tell it for you.
Yeah. Just call Alvin up and have him. He'll be your coach. He'll guide you through, right, Alvin? He'll teach people how to TED it.
Yeah, I will.
I haven't heard of TED Talk, but I'm definitely going to listen to it after this. No, man, Alvin, I'm really appreciative, and I really appreciate you sharing these stories with us, man, because I know a lot of people get a lot of value from it, right? There's a lot of our listeners that they're relatively new in investing and relatively new in the space, and it's really good to bring them something that they can look forward to or things that they can aspire to do. I mean, we've talked about so many different things right now, from mental health to mindset to being an overnight success and what it really means to be an overnight success, right? Everybody goes, oh, well, this guy just got super popular because he met the right people. Nah, you don't know the 40 years of work he's been putting in, right? And so we talk about this quite often. And so I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that stuff on the show itself. I want to know, like, how you, because right now you have what? You're trying to get the $500 million to build the rest of these units that are coming up. How difficult is it looking to be able to acquire the right teams? Because I want to get into the team side of things, because I know you said you had to hire the GC, so that's part of your team for the GC. They deal with the construction half, but you got a ton of paperwork that has to go in, a ton of permits that have to get approved, right? You got to have the architects, the draftsmen, like all that stuff. How does building that team, how has it been so difficult? What's been the challenges to get you to this point where you're at now?
Wow, man, that's great. Man, what I believe is when you're in purpose, on purpose, there are people that have been assigned to help you make your dream come true. Purpose. in purpose, on purpose, there are people that are looking to hitch their wagon to yours. Remember, I told you when I went to Amarillo to volunteer for this guy, I went, oh man, I got it. I got it. I, all I have to do is be my best here. I was assigned to him. And if he would have still been alive and that company still be going, I'd probably be second or third in charge there, but I would still be there. So when I started this, I met this guy that worked at this place, and me and him started talking, and 3 years ago, and then a year later, he introduces me to one of the people that he works with. And then 3 or 4 months later, he introduces me to somebody else. And 3 years later, I have a civil engineer on our team. I have an architect on our team. I have a building science guy on our team. We've got an energy rater on our team that can do all of our energy ratings. We've got structural engineers on our team. So everybody that it takes to give me a building set of construction documents for our apartments are on my team. And we're not paying third-party fees to outsource that. They're on our team as part of the team, as part of the development company. That's only because I have made it a choice to be in purpose, on purpose, telling everybody, everywhere I go, about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And that story will resonate with the people that have been assigned to you and your story. So whatever it is, I don't care if you're making toothpicks, be the best damn toothpick maker and tell them why you're making toothpicks. And I promise you there's a guy assigned to cut down your tree.
I love that.
That's genius, man. Yeah, you're right. I think people connect with other people through emotion, and guess what? Emotion comes from telling stories. And if you're able to really articulate that in a good way, where it resonates with somebody, whether they've been through it, lived through it, has somebody or know somebody, that's how it happens, man. And that's so great. Did it take you a long time to realize that?
Yeah. Man, you see how you hear me sounding like this, all this wisdom, man. You see all these gray hairs. If I had all this stuff, man, in my 20s and 30s and access to this the way you guys have access to it and the way the teenagers have access to it, and you, man, I would have been President Johnson, not Obama. I'd have been Johnson.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, really, it's amazing. So there's really no excuse. And I think the biggest detriment now, that brings up a really good point. I heard this thing before. A man said the biggest detriment to a successful person is his last success, because he thinks that the way he did it last time is the way it always has to be done next time. So you asked me why haven't anybody been using this widely? I gave you a couple of reasons why, but the main reason is because we've always done it the other way and nobody wants to make a change. That's hard. Change is hard, and most people don't like hard.
Alvin, are you going on these big syndication runs where you're just sitting there talking to people trying to raise capital? I know that like you and Vina and some other people back in the clubhouse days were that's kind of the circle you were in. So is that kind of what you're doing now?
It's really not. I mean, you can create a whole bunch of hype. I mean, they've created some hype on Clubhouse and they funded some deals in hours, right?
Right.
Those are deals that people can see, touch, feel, smell, all of that stuff right now, and they can make it sound sexy because it exists today. I can make our apartment sound really sexy by painting a picture, but you can't go touch it yet. So that's a little bit more of a raise, right? That's a bigger lift. So I'm getting to put myself in a position. You heard that choice of words? I don't have to do anything. I get to put myself in a position to where I can try to attract the right people that understand development, that understand long-term benefit. My first group of investors were doctors. And the first thing the doctor told me was, Alvin, I understand long-term results. That's why I'm a doctor. I went to school for 16 years so I could be paid forever. You my perfect kind of partner because you understand
Yeah.
it. So I'm just doing this, man. I'm on podcast shows and just working and doing what we're doing and talking on Clubhouse. And I know, you heard me on Bradley's deal. I know that I'm one phone call away, man. Somebody's going to listen to me on your podcast, on one of these, one phone call away that can make the difference. So if you that guy listening to this podcast today with Jesse and Rafa, if you that guy, hit me up. If you that lady, hit me up. And if you're new to this space, but hey, man, you got a great audience. And if you guys are new to this space, We got to give a shout out to Jesse and Rafa for being consistent and doing these podcasts. Y'all might think this is easy work. It is not. This is hard work. And you wonder why guys and women are so successful at what they do. It's because they choose their hard. We all have an opportunity to do that. It's hard to get up and go to the gym, but it's hard to be 400 pounds. It's hard as heck to do a podcast and wrangling people's schedules. But boy, it's hard when you don't have nobody that knows who you are or what you do. So thank y'all for doing this space and creating it for me and for your listeners. Thank you, guys.
No, man, thank you. Listen, it's funny. Everything you say always ties together. You your knowledge with the gray hairs comes in everything else that we were joking about. But, it's you don't need to go out and raise capital. You go out and talk about what you do and you'll resonate with the right person. And that person's going to go, hey, man, I want to invest with you. Here's $500 million, right?
I believe that from your mouth to God's ears to that other guy's ears that just heard you, that's gonna come right back.
Yeah, dude, I kid you not. I've gotten the best deals and the best investments and made the best relationships just by talking about what I do rather than me going out and pushing what I do or trying to raise money for what I do or trying to get an investment into what I do. It's just, hey, this is what I do. And people are like, man, I love what you do. How can I get in? Right? That's all you need. You don't need to go out and raise money. You actually will probably make less money by going out and looking for it. Because people are going to go, man, this guy's desperate. He needs the money. I don't know if I want to invest with them. As opposed to, man, I really love what he's doing. And this sounds really good. And where can I sign up to give you what I got? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I believe that. We hadn't begged for any money. I have induced a few people to partner with me at several times, right? Well, it's always an induction. What's your return? What's your rate of return? You got to pay somebody for their money. So, but I'm just excited, man, that I get an opportunity to do this. It's hard work. It's mentally stressful. It's a big responsibility. We're dealing with other people's money and expectations that we have set. So, it may sound really cool that I'm looking out for other people and want to create opportunities to change their lives by building these apartments, and we do. But I can tell you that by helping make another person's dream come true, yours are almost guaranteed to come true. Zig Ziglar said something very similar to that. So,
yeah,
and I believe it 100%. I believe it.
Yeah,
all the way.
You help enough people get what they want. You in return will always get what you want. That's the way. That's the way it goes, right? Same thing with your live a life with purpose. I say that every day. Every time I wake up in the morning, it's live a life with purpose. I write it down in my journal every morning. Live a life with purpose. Otherwise, you're just kind of cruising through the world. Anyway, Alvin, I want to be respectful of your time, man. We're getting to the top of the hour here, and I want to transition to our segment where we ask our two questions. Being that this is the big break show, I want to know, what was your big break, right, in life that went from old Alvin to new Alvin, whether it's personal, mindset, business, relationships, whatever the case may be, even in real estate or development. Like, what was your big break that one moment, that defining moment that you can think of?
Man, that brings tears to my eyes. I remember waking up on my 38th birthday, DeSoto, Texas, 5,000 square foot house. My life had fallen apart, and I had moved to Dallas. I had no money, no credit, no nothing. Had been ultra successful a couple of times. This was in about 2001, right after the 99-2000 mortgage crisis. Moved to Dallas, no money, no credit. I always made so much money and always poured into the wrong people, the wrong things at the wrong time. They say your test will be your testimony. My test has always been not making money, but keeping it. And so now God has blessed me with a way to be able to keep it. But my big test, on that 38th birthday, I woke up and I looked around, man. I was there in this big old house that I know how to buy houses with no money and all that junk. But I was by myself on my 38th birthday. And I went, man, you're 38, dude. You're damn near halfway dead. You got a long way to go and a short time to get there. At that moment, I knew I couldn't get there by myself. And I prayed, God, man, please. I need some mentors. I need a guy that's been married 30 plus years. I need a businessman that's been in business 20 plus years. I need a father figure that's got more than 2 kids. I was very specific with those prayers. And those guys started to show up. The guy in Amarillo who I volunteered for, he was one of them. Married 30 plus years, 2 kids. He fit a couple of those boxes. And so that big break for me was understanding that I needed other people. Black people have such a hard time with positions of power, if I can use that term. I'm the HNIC, head nigga in charge. You can take that out if you want, but you don't have to. So with that thought process of always wanting to be HNIC, that is a detriment to our success because we can never do anything great by ourselves, right? So the big break came from understanding that I needed other people, I needed mentors, and then I needed relationships. Relationships are the key, man. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. You marry people you know, like, and trust. And so real estate is a relationship business, so you need people. And when I realized that I could not do this by myself, that I needed other people and I needed to learn the power of other people's money. But I think the big break was the mentors and the prayer. I reached that wasn't my lowest low, but I had reached a low of this season in my life that was the lowest low. Life does this. The lows don't nearly become as low as the last lows. But that big break was understanding I needed mentors.
Yeah, Alvin, I think that's such a big part of success, and I think a lot of people get stuck in that whole like I don't need anybody, I don't need to do this stuff. We talk about this all the time on the show. Like Rafa and I are Hispanic, right? We grew up with this certain type of mentality that's handed down from our parents, and we embody that. We take it in. It's just you're using the HNC.
I didn't know y'all were Hispanic.
Yeah, for sure, man. Jesse Vasquez, Rafa. You can't tell, man. Come on. But I know he's messing with me right now, guys. He's messing with me. And I'm glad. Thank you for that.
No, but never mind. I'm not gonna go there because I don't want to lose I don't want to get canceled.
No. You don't want to get canceled. Not right now. Maybe later, but not right now. But yeah. I was gonna bring it back that there's just different cultures. We do things different, and there's different perspectives that come along with that. And it's sometimes a lot of other people don't recognize that or don't understand that unless you actually are a part of that culture. And I think your culture and our culture is very similar in a lot of ways. And I think that there's always somebody that has to be like, they got to be that top person. They got to be that number one. And you're right, man. It all comes back to people. And we talk about this on the show all the time, that, relationships are literally the most important thing when it comes to anything that you're trying to do in your life. Like, you have to have people, whether you like it or not, or you want to be that solo guy that does everything on your own. It just doesn't work. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to fail in that aspect until you learn that you have to have other people to maneuver your boat to wherever it is that you're trying to go. But I'm glad you brought that up, man. I'm glad
you want to go fast. You can go by yourself. If you want to go far, you got to go with other people.
Yep. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's literally how it is. And any successful person you'll ever meet, they'll tell you that. And they might have learned the hard way, like where they fucked up and they started over again. And they realize, like, I can't do this by myself. And I think that's, that's hard to come through. So thanks for sharing that. Alvin, one of the last things we have before, because we're up on the hour, is learn and apply. So something right now that somebody can listen to in this episode that they can literally go do after listening to this and make something happen with their lives, their mentality, whatever it is or whatnot. So give us that one thing.
Man, my one thing is never one thing. But I'll tell you, my one thing is this. So many people that have gone to college just showed up at college one day and figured out 2 years later that, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go do something else. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go do something else. And so they didn't have a plan. So many people get into real estate and say, I just want to be in real estate. Well, what do you want to be? You want to cut grass in real estate? You want to be a plumber in real estate? I want short-term rentals. Okay. You want 1, you want 100, you want a hotel, So my one thing is to ask yourself, why? Why do you want to do short-term rentals? I want freedom. Freedom from what? Why? And you ask yourself why until you can't answer any more questions. Why do you want to be in real estate? Well, I want to change people's lives. Okay, why? Why do you want to change people's lives? Well, I think it makes people better. Why? And you keep asking yourself why, and you will eventually, I believe, get to your purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. So one thing is to figure out why you're doing what you're doing and where you want to be in the end. doing short-term rentals today and you know you want to own 1,000 apartments, why are you doing fucking short-term rentals? Go find somebody doing apartments and figure it out and get with them and go do what you want to do. If you know you want to own apartments, why are you buying that fucked up little flip house so you can go make $30,000? Okay, that's great. Then what? You're going to get addicted to the 30 and you're going to go buy you another house. Go figure out how to get in where you want to be in the beginning before you get started. Your road will be a lot less rocky.
Yeah. You know what, Alvin? You just said something right now that a lot of people will ask. If I just met Rafa today, I don't know the guy at all, I'm going to ask him more questions about himself than 99% of people ask about their own selves. Like, they literally don't have conversations with themselves. And I see that in a lot of younger people, man. They're like, what do you do? How do you do this? How do you do that? Well, what kind of stuff do you like? What do you do this? But like, literally nobody sits there and asks themselves, they don't have conversations with themselves, like literally at all. You have to.
And if you did it, and I know that this works because there was a guy that came to me and said, hey man, God sent me to you. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's do it. But what he told me, he was sent to me to help me define my purpose. I felt like I knew what my purpose was. And he said it was a life mission that he wanted to help me define. So I met with this guy. We met over a 2-day period. And the only thing he did was ask me 10 million questions. And you know what he came up with? He came up with that my life has been a life of endurance, that I have been put here. That tells you how much it meant to me. But the endure part, that I would be able to endure till the end. All of those questions that he got, what he got from me is that my life had been designed around endurance, that all of my successes came because of the endurance that I continue to show up with, not willing to quit. And you're talking to a guy that tried to quit on life once, right? It's ironic that my word that he encapsulated for my life is endurance from all the questions. Maybe it's from all the other stuff that I went through after that, right? Or before that. But so I know it works, man. Just ask yourself 10 million questions as to why you want to do what you want to do, and I promise you'll get to the answer.
I agree and concur to that, Mr. Alvin Hope Johnson. I do. So, man, we're getting ready to jam out of here real quick. Alvin, tell us about your course that you got going on, man. So anybody listening right now, that's basically tell us about that, so that any folks listening can jump into that and see you in September too.
Well, I'll tell you about two things. We've got a 3-day boot camp. That 3-day boot camp is designed for anybody in real estate that wants to buy a house, a duplex, flip some houses, wholesale some houses. We teach you everything that I've used in the last 35 years of real estate in 3 days. From all the terminology that we use every day in the multifamily space. I'm going to teach you how to underwrite my deals. I'm actually giving away my model. We've got a free ebook that goes with it. We've actually got a recording of the course that we sell for $1,000 that goes with this. And this is just for your listeners, because I've never said that before. So, but for your listeners for that 3-day boot camp, man, if they would use, when they book, I'm going to send you guys a link, but if they hit me up and just put Big Break, I'm going to give them that ebook and give them some extra stuff. And then I've got an affiliate situation for you guys set up that I'll send you some information on as well. So somebody asked me the other day, how are you doing this boot camp? I'll tell you, it's $49.97. And the one that we're doing in July, we have a 50% off or 2 for 1. So there is a code for that, and that code is Bootcamp50, all letters capitalized, Bootcamp50. So it's 2 for 1 or 50% off that deal. It's on our website at MultiFamilyMonopoly.com. And if you'll use the code Bootcamp50, you'll get the 50% off for July. And then if you'll put Big Break in the comments somewhere, we got some extra special stuff for you. And we're going to take care of our friends Jesse and Rafa for that. So that's the big thing that I'm promoting. We've got the Clubhouse Live event, the Developer Summit. It's September 16th and 17th. It's at the Hilton Hotel in Plano, Texas, right outside of Dallas. So best place to be in America, Dallas, Texas, September 16th and 17th. that actually happens to be the weekend of my birthday too. My birthday is the 18th, man. So we're gonna have a big ass birthday party for me. But it's gonna be so dope, man, because of all the sponsors and everything that's gonna be taught at that event. And we're super excited about that. And we're about to start marketing that probably in the next week or so. So thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to share those opportunities.
Where can folks find you at, Alvin?
MultiFamilyMonopoly.com is our website, and Alvin Hope Johnson on all of my socials.
Perfect, man. Well, there it is, folks. Mr. Alvin, in the real estate game for over 30-something years, changed his life around, had some things happen, some divine intervention. It sounds like it came to you, and now here you are today doing some pretty fantastic things, not just for yourself, but intention behind it for other people, and obviously changing the way you're doing stuff. And also, you know what, you guys, check out his YouTube, the TED Talk that he did. It's about 7 minutes long. It really is great. And a lot of listeners now, jump on if you're looking to get a multifamily, just like he was talking about before, getting into investing. You want to resonate with somebody that's been around the block and has done this for quite some time, and Alvin is that guy. So I suggest if you're looking at courses, jump into his. And Alvin, dude, I'm super thankful to have you here, man. I appreciate you spending the last hour with us. I'm super thankful.
Justin, Rafa, thank you, man. I'll say this since you brought up the Hispanic thing. The Hispanics and Blacks, a lot of us look at this world as we don't belong or we don't fit or they got something against us or something like that. Man, just get rid of that limiting mindset. You're only limited by your own imagination and what you believe you can do for yourself. This skin color that we have does not make us less attractive. It does not make us less successful. It does not make us less than anything. If anything, it gives us an unfair advantage to work harder so that we can show somebody else how good we really can be. So get rid of all that junk, man, and y'all go be great.
Love that, man. Fantastic. That's a perfect way to end this conversation. Alvin, you're a man of wisdom. You and I both got gray hair. I know Rafa's got some gray hair around there somewhere too. But
somewhere. It's coming.
It's coming.
No, it's there. It's just under his hat. Don't you worry. Yeah, Alvin, thanks a lot, man. We really appreciate you coming on.
He's taking cold.
Thank y'all, guys.
He takes cold baths, so he don't have that gray hair stuff. So I think that's probably what it's from.
Oh, is that what'll take care of that?
That and the shrinkage, bro. He's got both of those things with the cold baths, right?
I'm gonna end it. Bye, guys.
Man.